The differences between Seattle and Boston are pretty interesting. Two cities on complete opposite coasts of the country that, even though have very different data, are much more similar than you might think. But let's talk about their differences first. For starters, their population growth. Seattle's population since 1900 has grown like crazy. The population for all of King County in 1900 was about 110,000 people. Today, it's 2.2 million people, equating to about 2,000% growth. Boston's growth, on the other hand, since 1900 is basically non-existent. Suffolk County has only grown about 150,000 people since 1900, which equates to about 25%. Now, to give credit, Boston has a 200-year head start on Seattle, and I only have data going back to 1900, so I can't speak on the data before then. Today, they have roughly the same population, so I'm curious to see what each city does going forward. In terms of key industries, they both have a hand in technology/technical services, with Seattle being stronger in that category. Seattle also specializes in maritime manufacturing and logistics, whereas Boston specializes in healthcare and social services. So they have that similarity with tech, but they each have their own key industries to differentiate themselves. And in terms of economic performance of those industries, Boston is doing average, whereas Seattle is doing great. And on top of that, Seattle is producing more than 3 times as much as Boston. By taking a look at these graphs, they do a really great job at illustrating the differences between the two. And I'm sure a large reason for that is because Seattle is more heavily focused with tech. And the tech industry, up until recently, has had a really amazing run. But now that tech has cooled off a lot, I'm curious to see where Seattle goes from here. And in terms of economic stability, Seattle wins out by a long shot, but again, this data is during a time when tech was doing great. And Boston's not bad, it's on par with the nation, but the nation's not very stable either. To wrap things up, it's really interesting to compare two similar cities on opposite coasts of the country, and with the most interesting difference between the two is that one had a 200-year head start on the other. But if you didn't know any better, would you be able to guess which one came first? All the data used comes from Ursus.com, and be sure to follow if you want to learn more things like